House Bill 754, which will ban the addition of roxurazone, an arsenic compound, to chicken feed. I think this is one of the best bills that we could pass this year, one that will be very well received when you go home and talk to your constituents about what you did while you were in session, one that will affect nearly every Marylander, and one that will affect both public health and the environment in a very positive way. To me, we should pass this bill for the food safety and consumer reasons alone. If you ask your constituents whether they want an arsenic compound added to their chicken, you can imagine what answers you'll get. Most people think the ingredients on the label when you buy your chicken in a store are all the ingredients, but as we know, the label doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't, to me, make any sense to add a dangerous compound to a popular food product, especially chicken. We have numerous government and private health-related websites encouraging us all to eat chicken. I eat a lot of chicken. Most of us eat much more chicken than we did 10 years ago. The average American eats about 87 pounds of chicken, and we think we're making a healthy choice. But even though roxurazone is in most chicken, consumers never see arsenic listed as an ingredient. The labels don't tell the whole story, and we in this committee could do what we can do to make sure chicken raised in Maryland doesn't contain arsenic. But the main reason I believe you should pass this bill is to keep, and the reason it's in this committee in particular, is to keep 15 tons of arsenic, elemental arsenic, out of the Maryland environment. Witnesses after me will elaborate on the fact that roxurazone, which is added to chicken feed, gets mostly passed through the chicken into chicken waste and turns into elemental arsenic after it's spread on fields in Maryland. As you know, arsenic is a persistent and a bioaccumulative toxin. It's a Class A carcinogen. It causes not only cancer but heart disease and diabetes and neurological disorders and reduced brain function, and it has a particularly terrible impact on fetuses, on pregnant women, and on young children. It's an active ingredient in rat poison, in herbicides, and insecticides. However, you'll undoubtedly hear from the industry after me that roxurazone is not dangerous. Last year, they submitted testimony to all of us claiming that roxurazone, quote, increased environmental sustainability. But that's very far from the case. The research shows that roxurazone is, quote, toxic if swallowed, causes gastrointestinal irritation, nausea, vomiting, reproductive toxicity, and skin, liver, kidney, blood, central nervous, and digestive system damage. That's quite a lineup. It doesn't sound to me like anything I want added to my family's food supply, and I don't want it added to the Maryland environment. You could find out from the same source that roxurazone, quote, should not be released into the environment and that it releases toxic fumes when burned. Now, you might be asking, did I find this on the Sierra Club website or the Environment Maryland or something in my district? But no, all these fun facts come directly from the manufacturer of roxurazone, from Alpharma's material safety data sheet on their website. So I imagine they'll probably clean up the website tomorrow. Some of you might argue that the environmental cost of adding this dangerous chemical to our food supply and our environment is worth it if it were necessary to grow healthy chickens. But Purdue, the largest grower in Maryland, hasn't used roxurazone since 2007. I'm not saying they support this bill. They don't. But you all, I don't think, have ever seen them come in here and ask the government to tell them how to grow chickens. I wouldn't expect that they would support the bill whether or not they use roxurazone. But they don't, and that is proof that you can successfully raise commercial chickens very successfully without roxurazone. But maybe they're an outlier. So I wrote to Purina Mills, the largest agricultural feed producer in the U.S. Purina wrote back to say, quote, Dear Tom, roxurazone is not in any of our chicken feeds. It's not necessary to raise healthy chickens. That's from the largest feed producer in the country. But maybe there's a huge market demand. So I wrote to the largest restaurant chain in the world, McDonald's. McDonald's wrote back, McDonald's policy in the U.S. prohibits the use of roxurazone at our dedicated poultry facility, which produce poultry exclusively for our U.S. restaurants. And why? Because McDonald's has the highest commitment to food safety. We require our suppliers to adhere to strict standards. We work with our suppliers, blah, 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 and we often exceed the requirements mandated by federal, state, and local regulatory agencies. So McDonald's won't buy chicken that is fed roxurazone. Neither will many restaurants. Purina won't add it to their feed, and Purdue doesn't use it to grow chickens. If we fail to pass this bill, we're sending a message, I believe, to the public that Maryland's health and safety standards and environmental standards are lower than what's allowed at McDonald's. I don't want to go home and tell my constituents that, and I imagine you don't either. Finally,